The Celtics closed it out in Game 7, nailed this series on the head. Haven't nailed really, I think, any series at all this season, or at least in this playoff run. However, I did nail this series because I just had a funny feeling this is going to go 7. MVP, James Harden, MVP Joel Embiid, James Harden. You got Jayson Tatum, who was spotty, Jaylen Brown, who's consistent, but the Celtics were sort of playing weird at the time, so I thought this series may go 7, and it did. But it was a weird Game 7. Because Game 6, if we remember, Jayson Tatum almost was the reason the Celtics lost in 6. However, it was thanks to the fact that Doc Rivers is horrible when leading in a series 3-2 and 3-1. He has the most losses of any head coach in both of those closeout games, 3-1 and 3-2, that there was a little bit of hope. Besides, also the Celtics are a very good team, and honestly, throughout the year, they were probably the deepest team in the NBA. I think personally, from my own point of view, the Bucks, while they had the best record on paper, I think the Celtics were the better team when you actually looked at, the depth chart, the matchups and everything. I thought the Celtics were the deeper, better team. But this is very weird because Jayson Tatum, I believe there's a stat out there that's saying when Jayson Tatum doesn't score 20, the very next game, he averages 35 points a game or something like that. It's some crazy number. And lo and behold, Steph Curry Steph Curry set this record Game 7 earlier, about 2 weeks ago, in Game 7 against the Kings, where he dropped 50 points. Now, 2 weeks later, here we are. Jayson Tatum dropping 51 and 13 rebounds. Basically, from almost losing the game, but then coming up clutch in the fourth quarter, to then very much winning this game and dominating in a Game 7, sending the 76ers packing. This is why I didn't fear the Sixers whatsoever. The Sixers, we didn't know what exactly they would be. What version of James Harden are we going to get? It seemed like when Joel Embiid won the MVP, he actually took a step backwards. Instead of having that fiery drive from maybe, potentially being snubbed for 2 straight MVP awards, now he finally gets it, and it's like, oh, I'm good. I did what I've been striving to do for the past 3 years. And so we didn't know what kind of version of the Sixers we were getting. Is Tobias Harris going to be okay? Is Tyrese Maxey going to perform? And sort of our question got answered. Not really. James Harden in elimination games hasn't been great. In fact, I'd say he's been pretty bad. And especially in the series, in losses, he's been terrible. Joel Embiid did not have a good game. Me and my dad both agreed. It's going to be up to James Harden. He's going to be the X factor for the 76ers if they were to try to win this game. And he didn't perform very well. And Jayson Tatum was going to be the X factor for the Celtics because Jaylen Brown gives you very consistent numbers. Malcolm Brogdon had a pretty good game. Al Horford defensively, tremendous. And Mazzulla with the head coaching move of keeping the bigs out there, Al Horford and Robert Williams, was the reason they closed out the last 2 games. Now, Mazzulla actually almost screwed his team over with his philosophy of mainly focusing on threes, having Derek White in the starting lineup and keeping Robert Williams on the bench. So you have Marcus Smart, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, and Al Horford. It's not really a great lineup because you're relying on people who are shooting threes, and if you're not shooting threes, you're not really going to be successful. So he put in the 2 bigs to slow down Embiid, to stop the offense from working as efficiently as it can potentially be. And lo and behold, they win the next 2 games. James Harden this game went 3 of 11, 9 points. He was a minus 30. Tyrese Maxey did not have a great game. 5 of 12, 17 points. Second highest scorer on his team behind Tobias Harris. 7 of 30. He actually didn't. He shot terribly from 3, but he made all of his 2s, basically. He did make all of his 2s. So, I don't know what we're doing here. The 76ers, I don't know what the next move is. It seems like James Harden's gone. Report today that it seems like James Harden's going to, not go with his player option and, step away from the team. And then pursue Houston, who I believe they may be in the Wembayama sweepstakes, but if they don't get him, he's going to a team that finished near dead last in record. They may have been dead last, but I'm not too sure. I don't have the number in front of me. So that move doesn't really make any sense. I guess it's more about the nightlife and the nightclubs instead of maybe winning basketball games and maybe winning a championship. But if you get Wembayama, maybe you could do both. Jayson Tatum, he had a great game. This was a great performance from Jayson Tatum. This was Game 6 Tatum of last year, where he went point for point with Giannis, and that's the reason why they won Game 6 and forced to Game 7. Then it was up to Grant Williams to close out the game in Game 7 last year. Now this time, Jayson Tatum, we saw a glimpse of it at the very end of Game 6. His confidence was back. We know Jayson Tatum has a lot of confidence when he doesn't care who's in front of you. He just pulls up from 3 and nails it right in your face. That's confident Jayson Tatum. One that doesn't hesitate, one that doesn't think twice about shooting, one that takes the ball, pumps it, whoever's in your face, he just shoots it and usually makes it. And that's what we saw in this game. 60% from 3, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, no turnovers. That's the big number there. 0 turnovers. Remember last year, Jayson Tatum had 100 turnovers in the postseason, which was absolutely ridiculous. Jaylen Brown he shot a little bit above 50%. A little bit below 50%, had 25 points, was still incredibly efficient. Malcolm Brogdon, 12 points. Great pickup for the Celtics. So the Celtics are going in now versus the Heat, a rematch of last year's Eastern Conference Finals. I was in Hawaii, actually, at this time, when the Celtics were closing up that series versus the Heat. And people in my comments are saying, we got to remember, the Heat were 1-3 away from making it to the finals. We're not too sure about that because the Celtics still had time to score. And you would have only been up by 1 by then. So you're telling me that they couldn't drive or make a 2 or make a 3 to win that game? Keep living on ifs, ands, or buts. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. The Celtics team, especially with Jayson Tatum and with the addition of Malcolm Brogdon last year, they did not have a great distributor. Now, I think Malcolm Brogdon isn't, a point guard like a super efficient distributor, but he's definitely a very important asset to the Celtics. I think that was a great pickup for the Celtics, and when he got picked up by the Celtics, I said, hey, the Celtics just got a great piece to their team. And lo and behold, he won 6th Man of the Year. And he has been a tremendous piece. It's a question of, it's basically what the Knicks basically didn't show. How much do the Celtics want to make it back to the finals? How much do they want to win this series? Because it'll be up to Jayson Tatum, and when we see Jayson Tatum getting double-digit rebounds along with a good amount of points, we know Jayson Tatum's putting in a lot of work, a lot of effort, and putting his all into it. That's what we're going to need to see. Now, here's my expectation going into this Heat series. I don't expect Jayson Tatum to even come close to this number of 50 points again. I don't expect it. Nor do I expect him to shoot 17 of 28 again. What I expect is to have 2 games where he shoots, below, let's say, 35%. Below, nearing 30 or even below 30% from the field. That's what I expect because that's what we've seen. Jayson Tatum, and that's why I don't solidify him as a superstar. Could he have superstar moments? Absolutely, and this was definitely one of them. I haven't wavered my faith in Jayson Tatum because I understand what he is. He is very much a phenomenal piece to this team. He's a crucial piece of this team. He's better than Jaylen Brown. He's less consistent than Jaylen Brown, but his peaks are well above Jaylen Brown's. But his dips are pretty bad. He was going for Ray Allen's 13 in a playoff game in Game 6, and he was nearing that. He had a couple more minutes before he had one of the worst shooting performances in probably NBA playoff history. So what do I expect? I expect 2 games where Jayson Tatum does not look good. In fact, he looks terrible. And I could even say he would be the reason why they lose 2 games. I expect this series to go 6, and I'm picking the Celtics in 6. Because I think this team is deeper than they were last year. I think with Mazzulla, Mazzulla's doing a fine job as a first-time head coach. The defense is okay, but we've seen in 2 straight games, the defense for the Celtics has been tremendous. Now, it could be the Sixers were lost, and I said on the show on Friday that Game 6 was Game 7 for the 76ers. That was their chance to close out the game, because if it got to a Game 7, there was no chance in hell the Sixers were going to win this series. Lo and behold, they got crushed by nearly 30. And honestly, Doc Rivers could be out of a job. That would not surprise me. That's another thing that wouldn't surprise me. Because Doc Rivers, historically, ever since that finals win with the Celtics, he hasn't been a great head coach. In fact, he's choked a lot more than he's been successful. So the Celtics team, I fully expect to beat the Heat. I think the Heat have spotty moments. They didn't really respect the Knicks. The Knicks went to 6 with them. But a lot of people expect the Heat in 5. Just check my comments section. So, I mean, the Celtics, honestly, if the Celtics played the Knicks, in the regular season, it was weird. The Celtics lost to the Magic, and I think they lost to the Rockets. They may even lost to Washington. They lost to the Knicks. I think if the Knicks were in the Eastern Conference Finals, I think the Celtics would clean them up in 6 or 7 as well. Because honestly, if we take a look at it, the West, for the past near decade, has been the dominant division. You have a couple years with LeBron, where LeBron, became Superman, and they had that 3-1 lead, or 3-1 deficit, and they came back and won in 7. That was probably the only year where the East was really better than the West, and maybe they even weren't really even better. It's just that, some circumstances made them, win the series. Same thing with the Raptors. The Warriors just fell apart injury-wise in 2019. So I expect the Celtics to win in 6. I think that's a fine prediction. I don't think that's a hot take. I think the Celtics are the deeper team. Honestly, they have the better number 1. I would take Tatum over Butler. I understand Butler's playoff resume. It looks pretty good, although in these playoffs, he had his moments, but he didn't have a dominating and crushing performance like he did against the Bucks in round 1. The Knicks, 25 points. He nearly had a 19-point triple-double, and that was in a loss. He didn't take over the series. The Knicks didn't really put a lot of effort into it. They didn't put a lot of energy. They played dumb basketball. I don't see the Celtics playing dumb basketball like the Knicks did at times. But could Jayson Tatum have a bad shooting game? Absolutely. And I expect him to. 2 games, expect him to shoot about 35 to 30% or even below, and really be the reason why they lose 2 games. But I would gladly take the Celtics. I picked the Celtics right in 1 series. I thought that they would sweep the Hawks. They looked shaky. Then I picked them to win in 7 against the Sixers. I was a little nervous when they were down 3-2. And here we are again in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Final 4, which I'm actually going to talk about in the next topic. We're going to talk about the Warriors and Lakers, and then I'll make my Lakers Nuggets prediction. This is the same Final 4 as we had with the in the bubble where the Lakers won. So could we see a Lakers Heat rematch? Could we see a Lakers Celtics match? I think they each have the most titles in franchise history. I believe they each have 17, which that's incredible if that was the finals. Could we see the Nuggets? Maybe. I don't know. But I will take the Celtics in 6. Who knows what the deal is with Harden? Embiid made a weird comment about how the fact that him and James can't win by themselves. It's a 5v5 game, and partially he's right, but you're the MVP. Hell, Jokic is essentially a one-man army against the Suns. He was doing basically everything in that series. The Nuggets, he was the only dude that's really doing a lot. I mean, Jamal Murray had a couple moments. Michael Porter had a couple moments. Even Aaron Gordon had a couple moments. But Jokic, he was that dominating force. And throughout the season, he was the reason. I think they went 25-0 to start the year, or throughout the year. I think they lost a couple games after that. But 25-0 when he had a triple-double? That's insane. So, I don't know. This Sixers team, I think they're going to regress. And honestly, trust the process. That's just simply a coping mechanism for we suck, we're going to wait. Like most bad teams do. They lose, they have to wait to get good, except they don't put a title on it like trust the process. I hate to break it to you Sixers fans. The process, it's over. It's a failure. You haven't made it out of the second round. I'm sorry, but this process is finito. It's finished. It's done. The Sixers, I think you need to actually start winning some series first. You never made it out of the second round. This ain't a successful process. It's done. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.